Oh yeah, oh yeah. Howdy ho guys, and welcome to another Bowjinjin vlog. How you all doing? Hope you're doing well, as usual. Today I would like to give kind of a motivational entry, I suppose. As I do time to time, like interspersed, with like my like philosophical ones and like my kind of weird dark ones, but the message for today's entry is to stay positive. That's just me kind of saying it outright. And there's many a caveat to what I just said. Stay positive, but like stay positive is just considering like the practical application of this idea is probably one of the hardest things you'll ever have to do as a human being in this life, because life is full of ups and downs. I don't really have to say that. I think everyone who is watching this, you know that. You don't need some rando to tell you that, but at the same time, like a lot of us are trying to make something of our lives. It's like, well, we're here, right? I did an entry, the previous one, about like fulfilling yourself, in life, and I mean, there's the kind of like opposite, like kind of more like existential nihilist type of mentality that is like, okay, well, what's the point, right? But like, I suppose us conscious people, like we're always kind of walking that knife edge, between like conscious creation, the kind of creation that encompasses everything, and leaves no shadow, unilluminated, if you will, and also just hopelessness, because the thing about knowing everything is that like you'll have to come to know even the parts that horrify you, and really tests your constitution as a conscious person, and like this is kind of what this entry is about. It's like I'm mostly telling this to myself, if I'm honest. It's like one of the pieces, it's one of the things that I wish like someone would tell me, but like the thing about this is that like stay positive is not the best way of saying this message. It's kind of quite pretentious, actually, like me to say stay positive, you'll do fine, kid. No, like, but and again, like I said, there's many caveats to this. It's like, why do I say stay positive? Well, first and foremost, this is coming from my own experiences, that like it's really, life is ups and downs, and that is something that we must be present with. So like when life gives us lemons, when life is not very nice, when we're faced with depression and stuff like that, once again, then like it's like, oh, here we go again. And then like you kind of like, like from your kind of spiritual journey, that like you're supposed to be present with everything. So this is one of my own mantras, I suppose, that I use on this channel, is to tap into your sensitivity. Because life is full of ups and downs. There will always be joy, and there will always be pain. And so like whatever arises in your reality, then you have a choice. Basically, you can resist it, and then by kind of hyper focusing on that resistance, let's just say, kind of like wishing that this wasn't the case and wishing that things were different, like trying to make it wrong, basically. And I say try, but it's something that's very natural to at least it's something I've found. It's like no matter how much I try, I can't stop resisting. It's resisting is just something that I naturally do. In the same way that like I like eating like a donut, I like eating, like I like eating like bakery, like baked goods from time to time. It's just that's just human nature. It's just something that you'll come across. And so like we know that we're supposed to be present with it, but like it's like, and therein lies the hardest thing about the spiritual journey and also about life, because you never quite know when you step between that boundary between joy and pain. It just kind of happens on its own. Or rather, like, you do have a degree of agency in it. You do have free will. And like that's kind of what I want to stress in this entry is like, you do have some say in it. It's like sometimes it's tempting to think, again, this is coming from my own experience, like sometimes I'm like, I can't fucking do anything, this is just a shitty day, this is a shitty like kind of, time that I'm living through. But like, it's like, it's tricky, right? In the same way that like, like the human psyche is tricky. If you want the fucking trickiest thing in our universe, it is probably the human psyche. I don't think like, at least as a human, this is coming obviously from a human perspective, but like there just is not anything more like ridden with pitfalls and traps and like false truths and like trickery. There's just nothing that exists, that has as much trickery involved and slipperiness as the human psyche, I found. It's just like, it's, ego, shadow, like the way that we form personas, like it's just like, it's one of the most, crazy things in our universe, I'm sure. But like, anyway, so you do have some degree of, I mean, it's like, like I, for example, I get into a bad mood, and like, part of me is like, okay, like, well, if I'm in a bad mood, it's one of the most uncomfortable things ever to be in like a negative space, because it's like, that you can't control it, kind of a thing. That you can't just do that and make it go away, and a part of you knows that like, if you kind of let go of trying to control it, if you're just like, I feel bad, I don't know what to do, like I just feel like everything I'm doing is wrong, I feel like everything that I think, like, it doesn't matter, and like, you have moments, I have these frequently, like pretty much every day, if I'm honest, like just of like, I am not doing, like, it's just like, what the fuck am I doing here, like, why do I even try? And it's like, and like, part of you knows that you have to be present with that, you have to be like, and like, when you go through it enough times, you'll realize that like, just being like, I don't know what to do, like, that gives you enough kind of space to then like do something about it, like, if that makes sense, or at least feel better about it, because like, as long as you are trying to fight it. And this is the thing, right? This is all emotional stuff. So it's like, it's not even that you're trying to fight it. This is the trickiness again of like just managing yourself. You know, it's like you like part of you, like you have these ideas, you know, like that you have to be present, but you also have some degree of agency, and like you're kind of wrestling between trying to do both those things. And it's like, I know I shouldn't be resisting, but it's like, but like it's not that you're trying to resist it, and it's not that you're trying to resist your resistance, or it's not as if you're trying to do anything really, you know. And then if you, I guess like what can happen is that like if you go through this enough, and you go through like that kind of mental like Rubik's Cube I just went through, then like eventually you come up and you're like, okay, I don't feel depressed anymore. It's like it's this emotional thing, these emotional like kind of problems, I suppose. It's like you think there's a solution, like a Rubik's Cube. You know, you think that like you make these moves in these circumstances, and you have an idea of what moves to make, but it always kind of catches you by surprise. It's like, huh, okay, I'm suddenly in a bad mood. It hits you before you even realize it, right? You're just like, wait a minute, I was feeling good like 5 minutes ago. Like, when did I suddenly like start to like start hating it myself again? And it's like, and you go into that, and then like eventually you realize that you're in a good mood again. And like you've been through like you know, like as a conscious person, you've been through like that fucking Rubik's Cube solving phase where you're just like, okay, I'm resisting, so let's try to be present with it. Let's try to express. Okay, let's try to validate the resistance, you know, because like even though resistance is what I'm trying to resolve, like resistance itself is meant to be allowed, because like resistance is normal. And then you're kind of going, you're like frantically, you're underwater, right? You're like several meters below sea level, and you're trying to swim up to the surface, right? And in that effort, you don't know when the fuck it's gonna finish, right? But like just at some point it finishes, and you're like, oh, I guess I don't feel bad anymore. And that's the emotional fucking daily existence of being a human. It's just like, you just don't know. Like, you have these cool ideas, right? You know concepts like allowance, resistance, you know like that life is ups and downs, you know that like these states don't last forever, you know. You also know that like sometimes they last longer than you want, and you have to adapt to it, because like any expectation that comes out of that will prolong it, or like at the very least cause more suffering to you than it should. And you have all of this understanding, but like the actual process of it happening, it's just like, oh, I'm suddenly in a bad mood. Some time elapses. Oh, I'm suddenly in a good mood. It's weird, but there is some degree of agency in it, right? And like, this is what I want to go into, you know. So again, it's I don't like, you know, I don't profess, as usual, I don't profess to be an expert in this. Like, I'm just someone who's really interested in this kind of thing, because it affects me so fucking deeply, you know. It like every single fucking day I have to deal with this shit, you know. And so like that's why I kind of talk about it in such a way. But like, I don't profess to know like what I'm even doing, you know. I'm just kind of speaking from my experience, and yeah, so stay positive, you know. It's something that's really difficult, and it's not always good advice, because why should you be positive? It's like, if someone were to say to me, be positive, when I was in a bad mood, then it would be like, I get what you're saying, but I don't feel positive, you know. So like, we all feel what we feel, and like for someone to try and change the way that we feel, it's not even that it's a dick move, you know, per se. It's just like, it doesn't work, you know. We all have different feeling spaces. It's just something that I wish was different, but like it won't be, you know. Like we are separate beings, you know, in at least on this level, you know, on the physical level, and we all go through different things at different times, and we're not in perfect sync most of the time, you know. So, but if you are struggling with negativity and depression, just know that I'm there with you, you know, like, the reason I was inspired to do this entry was because, in fact, I was feeling pretty shitty, like, for most of today, you know. I was trying to get some work done, but, like, it's really hot. It's been really hot these few days, and, like, my hay fever's picked up again, and so, like, I was really kind of debilitated for most of the day. It's kind of an excuse as well, but, like, yeah, but I just didn't feel like doing anything today, and, like, in the end, I did manage to do a bit of work, but, like, there were other things I've been meaning to do and haven't been able to do them, and it's like, and it's just hit me once again, you know. It's like fuck, man, you know, like, you know, and, like, but as always, you know, like, you try your best, and then, like, sometimes your best is still not enough, if you will, and, like, that fucking sucks, you know. But, like, sometimes you learn something, right? And today is one of those times. It's like, well, so what I'm about to say is kind of stuff that I've already talked about in previous entries, but, like, there are some things that you can definitely do to help. So so I mean, you know, for me, the things that really help me are, I think I did an entry called Back to Basics at one point, and basically in that entry I talked about the importance of taking care of yourself. Like, I mean health, like, I mean, like, eating healthy, I mean exercising, right? You know, and hygiene, you know, like making sure that you clean your dwellings. You know, these are things that you need to do. You know, they're probably like, it's like, it's easy to get overwhelmed, right? Because, like, you have projects, you have goals, and you're trying to, like, complete them. But, you know, when you're in a shitty mood, when you don't feel up to it, it can be really hard. And, like, the thought that it shouldn't be hard, that you should, like, that you shouldn't be failing so hard, like, that makes it worse, right? But sometimes the fucking easiest thing is the most effective thing. Like, you know, it's so fucking, it still fucking, like, blows my mind, you know, that, like, I can be, like, in the shittiest mood, like, you know, hating myself so much and being like, I'm not getting any younger, you know, like, nothing is happening in my life, you know, I'm so alone, you know, things of that nature. And all I have to do is to go out and go for even a walk, but, like, or to, like, eat something healthy, and within, for, like, half an hour to an hour, nothing happens. Like, you're still in, like, a shitty mood. But then, like, again, like, an hour or two later, it's suddenly, like, you're suddenly like, wait a minute, I don't, like, my body doesn't feel weird anymore. Because, like, you know, when you eat unhealthy, obviously it tastes good, but, like, a lot of the times, like, it kind of makes your body feel like kind of, like, really, like, bloated. Like, your cells feel really bloated and, like, inflamed, and, like, you just feel really stuffy. Like, it's like there's like a discomfort that kind of occurs in your body when you've eaten unhealthily, right? But, like, you eat a salad, right, and, like, an hour later, like, that feeling has gone, and like, an hour later you chime in and you're like, wait a minute, like, I don't feel shit anymore. I'm still tired and, like, stressed out, kind of, but at least my body doesn't feel, like, really weird and stuffy, right? Or, like I said, you know, go out for a jog, and then, like, again, like, doing a jog isn't the most comfortable thing in the world. Exercise isn't supposed to really be super comfortable. Like, you know, compare, like, going for a jog and going to sleep. You know, which one would you prefer to do if you were tired, right? Or not in a good mood, right? Obviously, going to sleep. But, I mean, but, like, the thing is, there are tricks to these things, and, like, I made an entry quite a while ago, like, really long time ago, like, a couple years ago, called, like, The Proper Way to Exercise, I think. And, yeah, in that entry, I talked about basically how, like, it's a shift in your perspective, right? Like, at least for exercise anyway. It's like, exercise is super important. It's as important as eating healthy. It's, you know, it's super important. It's like, again, like these things, I call them back to basics because they are literally the foundation of a healthy self, right? And like, when you're in a shitty mood, the last thing you want to hear someone say is, you should eat healthy, you should fucking exercise. It's like, no, I need a fucking miracle right now. Like, you know, that's how you feel, right? You're like, I need fucking Jesus Christ. Sorry, like, just the name that came off, you know, hopefully I didn't offend anyone there, but like, yeah, like, I need Jesus Christ to come down, right? And like, to fucking save me. Oh shit, how's, like, you know, that's gonna, like, as if that's gonna fucking happen. It's like, the last thing you want to hear is like, go for, like, do some exercise and eat healthy. It's the last fucking thing you want to hear, like, when you're in a shitty mood, right? But guess what? Like, it works. Like, it's not easy. It's simple, but it's not easy. It's one of those things. It's like one of those things that's so easy that you can miss, in the sense that it's like, it's not conceptually hard, obviously, you know, it's just going for a jog or eating healthy, but like, it's emotionally hard. Because like, in your moments of duress and despair, like, you're preoccupied with, like, you know, so much existential pain and like just self-loathing, that the last thing you think of is something as simple and seemingly like uninspired, because that's what it is, you know. It's fucking menial, you know. Go for a jog, you know. Eat some salad. It's not very sexy sounding in the moment, right? But like, trust me that, like, don't trust me, don't give, like, who gives a shit what I'm saying, but like, just in my experience, you know, in my experience, you know, that those are some of the pillars of a healthy, like, of health, and they will make you feel better, and like, they will help you kind of stay positive, right? Another one is to express yourself, right? And if you're an introvert like myself, and like, or you don't have the luxury like myself of having people you can talk about like really kind of like deep things about, then like, I would suggest doing some form of like journaling, you know. I owe this vlog channel and my ability to express to the practice I started many years ago of like talking to myself on my phone and recording it, because it allows me to center myself at all times. Whenever like, I feel like I don't know what to do, or like, I want something, I have something inspiring, I just go outside to the park and I bring my phone and I just record it, you know. And if you do that, like I mentioned in the intro, like, I think like, you can pretend, this is so fucking lame of me, but basically, like, if you don't want to look like a fucking tool, right, then like, just put it to your ear and people think you're talking to someone on the phone. Like, it's super lame, right? I know, but like, it will do you wonders, you know, like, because it gives you a space to express, and that is fucking important. It is as important as exercise and you know, and healthy eating. Particularly if you're introverted and like, you find it troublesome to like have to like go to someone just to express these things, you know. You can do this, and it's almost as if like it's almost like having an imaginary friend, although it's not quite as far-fetched as that. It's just like, okay, so for example, like, I have a problem of having boundaries, you know. I'll admit it. Like, I've always had a problem like kind of saying no to people. It's just the way I was brought up, you know. I've gotten better at it over the years, you know, after knowing my purpose a bit more strongly. But like, yeah, I still have this problem, if I'm honest. I think I'll have it for the rest of my life, pretty much. But like, one thing that I can trust is that like, I have these moments where I can just talk to myself, you know. It like, I'm not exaggerating when I'm saying like, this will probably potentially save my life, because like, a lot of times like, we feel so isolated. It's because like, yes, you know, part of that is because, you know, you need a support network and you need people in your life. It's like, that's a given, right? But like, at the same time, you need to express and to like center yourself in both intellectually and also like on a soul level, right? You need a space where you can just like express and honor all that you are. And if you do this, like, you become harder to influence negatively. Let's just put it this way, because like, I have this fear of like, people are going to influence me if I'm too open with them, and eventually I'm going to have to deal with people, and it's going to be difficult. But like, well, as long as I have this practice, I'm not really that scared, or I shouldn't be scared, because it's like, well, I have the space where I can just be honest with myself. So like, I'll definitely know if something's a problem. And like, I don't need someone else to validate my feelings. I can validate my own feelings, kind of a thing. So that is another thing that's been really important to me. And yeah, and if you do these things, there are probably other things as well. Like, you probably have your own spiritual practice, or like something that you do that helps to ground you and helps you to kind of like do what you need to do, in life and stuff like that. But like, yeah, those are the things that I found, at least, should be priorities, in one's daily existence. But like, yeah, stay positive, man. It's like, I guess I'll thread this in here, but like, I recently I started reading a book. It's called The Way of the Superior Man by David Data, and like, it's been recommended by many people that I follow, and I've heard this book many times, and I never got around to reading it, but like, I've started reading it, and I'm like most of my way through it, because it's a really easy read. It's just short and sweet. The book's about how to be a man, in today's world, and like, and obviously I'm not going to go into it too much, but like, one of the fundamental ideas within that book is that masculine energy represents like stoicism. It represents direction and purpose. It represents problem-solving or solution-based consciousness, right? That's what masculinity represents. Femininity represents spontaneity. It represents surrender. Like, it represents love, in the sense of surrendering to all that life is, because to the feminine energy, I suppose, there is no idea or position or logical argument or concept or principle even that is as important as the flow of energy in the moment, because this universe is energy. This reality is energy, right? So like, femininity is the feeling, essentially. Femininity is feeling, whereas masculinity is thinking, logic. And again, I'm not going to go too deep into it, but like, the book itself is written from the perspective of trying to teach men the essence of masculinity. As I'm reading the book, like, it's like, I'm taking it with a pinch of salt, because it's like, it is a snapshot of masculinity, that book, and there are some really interesting points raised in it. But like, at the same time, like, I'm not going to take it too literally. I'm not going to take it as though like, oh, this is masculine, therefore this is what I need to emulate. No, it's just, at the very least, like, it's, the book, just to wrap this up, it's a book that tells, fucking hell. Sorry, my iPhone's bugging out. Yeah, it's a book that kind of paints the contrast between masculine and feminine energy, right? Which is something that's obviously very important to us in the physical realm. But like, in reality, like, we're all mixes of these energies, right? You know, there may be a few individuals that are like super masculine or super feminine, but like most of us are a mix between the two. Really, all that they are, you know, aside from, you know, the sexual kind of component to it, is like there's a side of you that wants that knows that it needs to be organized and effective, you know, and practical, you know, because like we do live in a world where like we have to somehow find shelter. We somehow have to find food. We somehow have to find safety and security, right? And so like the quickest way to achieve these things, or like the one that makes the most logical sense, is to analyze or and to construct a strategy for these things, right? So you know, that's kind of like a really long-winded way to say, like, you know, there's a side of you that's pragmatic, you know, like that's like, even when you're thinking in terms of like spiritual ideas or like emotional stuff, you know, like shadow work or inner child work, it's like, okay, I know this is true, so like I have this practice that I can do, and I'm going to do it in the same way that I just, you know, was talking about my back to basics thing, which is like, you know, like I know that like the bottom line is that I can always eat some salad, or I can go and do a jog, or I can do one of my vocal diary entries, and it will help somewhat, right? But there's also a feminine aspect to us, right? And that is the surrender. That is more of the surrender side of us. It's like, when all's said and done, how you feel is how you feel. You know, and it's like there comes a point when you realize that you like you can still do things, but like you can't necessarily change the way you feel right now, right? And so like there is value in sometimes just putting down what you're doing and just admitting to yourself how you feel, like just like, you know, unapologetically, like, you know, or like without trying to analyze it and trying to fix it. It's just like, a lot of times it's because you can't, right? I in my entries I like talking about like bashing your head against the wall, you know, until like you just can't do it anymore. Your head's too bloody or something. It's like it's more of that kind of a thing. It's, at least to me. Maybe this shows that like I do have like a degree of a masculine core in me, even though I would think that like I'm a bit more feminine than the average male. In terms of my energetic makeup, but like, yeah, for me, like it takes me like trying to analyze and to fix and to like, you know, just like try, like, you know, like mentally like play a chess match with myself to try and make myself feel better, or like to try and like be more effective at what I'm doing, etc. To the point where I can't do it anymore is the point I'm like, okay, shit, you know, I can't do it anymore, you know, and that's the point like where you surrender. And you automatically feel better, you know. Again, that's the weird thing about life, is that like something's got to happen, right? But the thing is that like, I suppose, yeah, I mean, I'm not the first person to say this, but like there's a contradictory relationship between free will and non-free will, because both are true. You know, you can't necessarily say that like that like you are in control of your destiny, because there's so many fucking variables and potentialities that could happen, and you know full well that they could happen, and like, and you can't do anything about them because that's just life, right? But simultaneously you can't say that you have no agency whatsoever in what you're doing. Sometimes that's how you feel. Like earlier today for me is, I'm like, I can't do anything. You know, I don't feel like doing anything. You know, but like, eventually you come back to realize that, oh no, I can do something. You know, and like, for some people, and this is kind of sensitive, you know, but like for some people it's contemplating suicide, you know, and like, I have no experience of that, you know, but like I can appreciate that kind of a sentiment, because it's like, when you've tried everything, what else is there to do? It's like you feel miserable, everything you've done doesn't work. So like I kind of, I can at least resonate, like I can at least appreciate that kind of a consciousness, you know, and that's completely fine because, you know, it happens, you know, if we're honest about it, right? But like, but usually before anyone gets to that point, you know, like you realize that, okay, well, I can still do something, you know, I can do the back to basics thing, I can do something I enjoy, even though it's, you know, not good for me, you know, like eat unhealthy food, or have a cigarette, or drink some alcohol, or like go out, or do, you know, whatever it might be, you know, relapse, one of Teal Swan's latest videos, you know, but like in a way, right, in a way it shows that you do have free will, you know, at the end of the day. You don't, but you do, right? And that's the fucking rabbit hole. It's not even a fucking rabbit hole, it's just a fucking mess. That's the mess of spirituality, I suppose, you know. I say spirituality. Spirituality is a study of life, in my opinion. You know, what else is there, you know? Because, like, science is very, very, like, definitively, like, the mechanical study of, like, various things, such as the mechanics of existence, aka physics, right? The mechanics of life, aka biology. The physics of matter, like matter reactivity, chemistry, right? And other things like that, you know. But like spirituality is more, to me, diffuse. You know, you could say it's more feminine you know, between the pair of science and spirituality. But like spirituality really is the study of life at the end of the day. You know, like we sometimes dress it up with like theism, you know, and symbolism and like things of that nature, you know, numerology, you know, astrology, all of this stuff, you know, we give it many different labels, and you know, extraterrestrial stuff, you know, extrasensory abilities, you know, psychic abilities, you know, we give it a lot of labels, but like really what it is the study of life. You know, I get pissed off, I feel depressed, you know, I have dark thoughts, just like everyone else on this planet, and like I'm trying to understand them, and that to me is what spirituality is about. You know, you go through ideas because they help you gain perspective. So one thing I was doing before this, I guess, is just as a bit of a concrete example, is like I've been playing a game, because if you didn't know, I'm a gamer, you know. Like I've been playing a game, Tekken 7, which has been out for 2 weeks now, and like it's a competitive fighting game, and it's really fun. But like the thing is like that, like it's fun when you're doing well, right? And I know this has nothing to do with like anything substantial in life, but just stay with me here. It's like, so like just before doing this entry, I loaded it up because I was feeling kind of shitty and I wanted to cheer myself up a bit, right? So I was playing this Tekken 7. But the thing is, like, it's a competitive fighting game, right? So the only fun thing you can really do with it, after like, you know, doing like the story campaign, all of this bullshit, and going into training mode, is to fight real people. I mean, that's the whole fucking point of a competitive fighting game, right? So, but the thing is, like, I've never really enjoyed playing online because it's really stressful. You know, if you play competitive video games, or you've played sports before, or like you've been in any kind of really competitive environment, and you're like kind of a light worker type of personality, it's really fucking stressful because like it's like there's like animosity, you know, that there's just a lot of like violent energy in like with something like that, because it's competition, really. You know, it's not like everyone getting together and talking about their feelings, you know, or things of that nature, or discussing the nature of reality. It's like you are fighting someone. It's in a video game, but you're fighting someone, and like, you know, and like when they kick your ass, you feel shitty about yourself, right? Or like, you know, or like, you know, yeah, you know, things, I don't know, like, yeah, when you win, you don't even necessarily feel that great anyway, because like someone had to lose because of you, you know, and it can be really messy, right? But the thing is that it's also fun, or rather it's something that like I enjoy doing, obviously, you know, which is why I picked it up in my time of like depression. But like, Today I made a bit of a shift, right? I was like, you know what? I'd eaten some salad, right? And this morning, well, not this morning, but I've been like jogging a minimum of once a week, right? I find that like once or twice a week is probably a good thing, at least for me, because in the weekends I do a job which is quite physical. So yeah, I make sure to do like minimum once and maximum twice a week, like jogging, you know. But like, yeah, but like anyway, like I've done that, and like I was like, you know what? Like, let me just have fun. You know, like it's like usually when I'm playing online, like I'm like, I just I can't have fun. You know, like I'm so stressed because like this is a real human being, and like he might beat me, and he might send me a hateful message, or like he might, you know, anything could happen. And it's like but like, and it makes you feel shitty about yourself as well, because you can't enjoy the game. But like it's like, and you're not even thinking about enjoying the game. You think it's a competition. And like in Tekken 7, like, or you know, that Tekken in general, like there's a ranking system, right? So basically, like you rank up like when you win fights consecutively, and you have things called ranking battles where like, or promotion battles where like you're about to receive a promotion in your rank, right? And if you win the promotion fight, then you get promoted. But if you lose the promotion fight, you stay where you are, right? And so like it's one of the fucking most stressful things ever, like when you're losing a promotion match, because you're like, I need to fucking level up, you know. And it's like, yeah, but like it's like the minute that I switched like my perspective to like, you know what, maybe I should try having fun like I usually do. Like, you know, when I was playing the story campaign, or when I'm playing like the CPU, right? Like I'm not thinking about, oh, the other person's gonna beat me, and like, you know, if I beat him, like he's gonna be angry at me, and like all of this stuff, right? There's none of that consideration. There's none of that kind of like emotional kind of like distress of like doing something like that. So I'm like, you know what, like maybe I should just focus on having fun, right? And lo and behold, I had fun. Which is this goes back to my original message in this entry, which is stay positive. It's like, again, it's one of those things. It's but like, but I know that like if I'm in a shitty mood, then I should honor that and be present with it. And it's like, yes, absolutely. Like I agree with you. It's not even an agree thing. It's just like, you know that this is what you do. Like, you know, once you've done it like a million times, you know, it's like, okay, I'm feeling shit again. Well, I know like after my millionth time that like resisting it isn't really going to work. So some degree of what I do is going to have to be like to be present with it, and to be like, okay, I feel shitty, you know. You know, and like again, like I said, you know, the last thing you want to hear is be positive, cheer up, kid. It's like, no, you're like, fuck you, you know. But it's like, yeah. But the reason I say stay positive is because that's when you can move on in life, because you'll have the ups and downs, you know. You'll have days when you feel shit, and they'll probably be like every day or every other day. It's like, we like to think that like we can stay positive for a very long time, right? Or you know, for our mood not to change, but like that's not the case. But like, and so like, stay positive isn't really an imperative. It's just like a reminder. It's a reminder that like, well, it is slightly masculine in the sense like, you know, you do have, you know, come on, kid, you do have some agency. My fucking phone, I'm gonna smash it. Sorry about this. Yeah, like, I lost my fucking train of thought now. Okay, yeah, like, you have agency. You know, you can do. I've lost my train of thought. You can, yeah, you can do like, you can do something about it, right? And like, a lot of times it involves slowing down a bit. But like, the best you can really hope for, just being honest, is like, sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes like you try and like you still feel shitty, and like you have no choice but to be in a shitty mood for potentially the next few days, you know, or potentially the rest of the day. you never know. That's the thing, right? That's the weird thing. It's like you don't know when and if your bad mood is going to dissipate anytime soon, you know. And it's like that fucking sucks. It's like the worst thing ever. The worst fucking thing ever is not knowing when your trigger is going to go away. That's the worst fucking thing ever, right? But like simultaneously, you never know. Like it could be sooner than you think. So it's like this. It's fucking trippy. Because like I guess again maybe at least in terms of my mind I'm quite masculine in the sense I'm like, you know, there has to be a trick, right? And like the thing is, like, you try something and it works sometimes. Like, you know, like you go out for a jog or you do something you enjoy and you're thinking like it's not going to work and it works, right? And you're like, wow, you know, that like, and then it works consistently maybe for some time and you're like, hey, this is cool, you know, this works. But like, so not a lot of the times, but like maybe half the time it doesn't work, you know, or a bit more. But like that's just life, you know. But anyway, I don't really know what the actual message of this entry. I had a few ideas in my mind, so I just talk about them. But like, yeah, I need more practice for these entries. But like, I don't know, man. Anyway, that's my message for this entry. I thought at least I would like at least try to do maybe one of these a week. The problem is that like sometimes I feel like I do vocal diaries every day, so like obviously I don't have something amazing to say every day, but like generally speaking, I do come up with ideas and things like maybe like every other day or something like that. But like a lot of those ideas, like I feel like they're a bit redundant to talk about because they're kind of they're accurate to my own journey. But I know that like a lot of the times, like some people are going through like the opposite thing, and like what I discover and say is true is going to completely invalidate what they're going through. And like, you know, it's like I'm just like stay positive, right? And if you're going through a shitty mood right now, you're like, fuck this Chinese cunt, like fuck this guy, like stay positive, piece of shit. You know, like you need, you know, whatever, you know, but like, or you know, and vice versa, right? But like I don't know, whatever. Anyway, I'm gonna wrap this long ass entry up. Hope it was at least a bit insightful. Hope my fucking phone wigging out on me did not detract too much from this video. I'm sure it's going to detract a little, but I apologize for that. I'm going to have to get my fucking phone too, but I can't afford it. So anyway, yeah. Thanks for listening, as always, and hopefully the next entry is going to be a bit more coherent, but we'll see. Anyway, have a good day, evening, morning, whatever it is, the time of watching this, and thanks for watching, guys. I'll catch you in the next entry. Peace out.